In a nutshell, I am a social worker and social mobilizer. I am the co-founder of several platforms that work towards promoting first aid education, mental health education, and science education. But there's one thing I want to tell all of you. That social work has absolutely transformed me. Once upon a time, I was an undergrad, and I was a science major. It was my ambition to be a physicist, a string theorist, if you want to get into the details. But as I went down that path, something in my soul somehow felt empty. I was always under a lot of academic pressure. I was always comparing myself to my peers, and I was always basically drowning in this rat race. Then one fine day, I decided to be a volunteer. My university had this emergency medical services department, and they make students undergo training, and then the students are responsible for dealing with emergencies on campus. So I worked with the team, went to that student, even if it's the middle of the night, transported them all the way to the hospital. The experience absolutely transformed me. I felt as if this huge load had been taken off my shoulders. I felt so much joy, I can't even describe it. The joy one feels when you see someone in front of you, and after they've been through hell, you see them that they're healing, you see that they're recovering, you see that they're growing. There's absolutely nothing like it. I had an absolutely crazy academic schedule, but responding to an emergency, whether it was in the middle of the night or during a holiday, energized me. It energized me to such a degree that my friends used to tell me that, Usama, you just can't stop smiling. So there is joy. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a lot of joy in working without pay. You need to try it for yourself to understand. When we see a beggar on the street, we tend to put this seal on our hearts. We tend to guard it, hold it close. I mean, like if you're just walking or if you're in the car, you try not to sometimes even pretend that the beggar doesn't exist, simply because you don't want to bring in all that suffering into your emotional space at that moment in time. Think back to when you were a child. You would have been strongly affected by this back then. You would have asked your mother, "Ammi, ye kyun aise mere samne ro rahe hain? Inka ghar nahi hai?" But then something happens to you. As you grow older, you begin to be taught this lesson, that somehow you need to block all this out because the world is unfair and you have to get on with your life. A lot of us give charity, but how often do we emotionally connect with the people who we are financially sponsoring? How often do we let their humanity inside ourselves and listen to their stories and experiences? It's much easier to, click a button and say, send 5,000 rupees. I'm not saying don't do that, but I would like to invite all of you to let your guards down. Let yourself feel these emotions. It's going to be painful in the beginning if someone is telling you that they've been abandoned and God knows what has happened in their life, and you have to take that all in. It's very, very emotionally exhausting. But I guarantee you, once you let that happen, there is going to be such a flood of love you're going to feel for that person, and that person and the people that you are impacting are going to give you. It's going to absolutely transform you. Here's something I advise. Try doing. The next time you see a beggar on the street, rather than giving them 50 rupees, take some time out on some day and go visit them at their house, if they have a house. Spend some time with their family and with their children. And then spend that 50 rupees not only investing in the education of those children, but also take some personal time out to teach them yourself. I guarantee you you will feel like a high that I don't know what heroin addiction is like, but I assure you, you feel a high when you do this. All right, so that brings me to one of the organizations that I've co-founded called Saving Nine. So I want to share with you the stories of some of the people who are part of Saving Nine. So that's me on the right, and right next to me is Natalia. Natalia was an O-level student when we trained her as a medical first responder. That's the level of training that Rescue 1122 officials have in the ambulance. She credits us with being the reason why she decided to pursue a career in medicine. Natalia, after she graduated from Head Start, decided to join Saving Nine, and she is one of our most animated and passionate first aid instructors ever. Currently, she's now doing her MBBS in Lahore. Next to Natalia, the lady in the center is my sister, Saima Appa. Saima Appa has over 20 years of experience in human resource management, and loves Grey's Anatomy. The way these two things are connected is that in hindsight, she realizes that she should have been a brain surgeon. And when we started Saving Nine, she was one of the first people who signed up. She excelled at all of our courses and is now one of our head instructors. This is a picture of Natalia teaching, and here is a picture of Saima Appa. This is her favorite activity. She loves going to the rural areas on a Sunday and teaching these middle school children first aid. Next to Saima Appa, the girl who is smiling with grinning teeth, is Amina. Amina is a psychologist who took our course because she wanted to get over her phobia of blood. I'm sure there are people in the audience who have a phobia of blood. Amina not only got over her phobia, but she also fell in love with teaching about how to control bleeding and how to bandage. As you can see, sometimes we tend to get a bit carried away. Finally, we have Zainab. Zainab is a Fulbright scholar. And Zainab really resonated with the mission of Saving Nine, which is you don't need to be a doctor to save lives. She has her own blog called Z Meets World, and she decided to use the power of social media to spread what we're doing across the country, and it's paid us immense dividends. She's also spread so much knowledge about life-saving through these platforms. There are many, many ways to give back to your community. So these are some of the people who've joined us in Saving Nine. These are the sort of people who find joy in work that is oftentimes without pay. What makes it so meaningful for them? Why do they go ahead and they do this? Here is a picture of Afshan Bibi. She is one of the 20 healthcare companions that we have trained in rural Pind Bhegwal, right next to Bharakahu. She works to help over 80 patients manage their early-stage diabetes in the region. Diabetes is an pandemic in the country. Epidemic. This is the kind of impact that makes it worthwhile for all of us to wake up 7 a.m. in the morning on a Sunday, travel an hour to Pind Bhegwal, spend the entire day over there, and come back at 8 p.m. exhausted but absolutely rejuvenated at the same time. Here is a picture of some of the school students that we have trained as youth first responders. Here are some of the girls. They're checking each other's pulses. We launched Pind Bhegwal's and probably North Pakistan's first proper scout system that is dedicated to promoting first aid across the region. These students are now going to other schools and are providing life-saving knowledge to other people in their age group. Now, this picture, I should tell you, that man is not trying to sit on that man. This is a picture of our 3 first responders who will be in charge of the ambulance system we are setting up in Pind Bhegwal. They have also adopted the spirit of volunteerism. On weekends now, they go and they spend time in their friends' houses and in their families' houses, and they have impromptu first aid sessions with them. We've seen them in action, and it's super, super, super energizing to see them at it. So you've seen some people who've embodied this idea that there is joy without work. You should try it as well. It's contagious, and it's very easy to get started. Imagine the next time you're with your friends in a social gathering, do a little brainstorming session. Decide to do a mini project. For example, what you could do is decide to spend a week in a school in a slum area and teach the kids a workshop on anything that you like. When you first reach there, the poverty and the deprivation is going to alarm you. It's going to overwhelm you. But right after that, what's going to happen is you are going to start seeing all the humanity that those people have. You're going to see that that kid is ridiculously naughty. You're going to see that that kid loves, throwing paper at the other kid, just like any other kids. Their humanity and their energy is going to really, really, really excite you. Number two, what's going to happen is at some point in that week, while you're teaching those kids, you're going to see that those kids are actually learning what you taught them. They're going to say something or they're going to do something which literally happened because of what you taught them. And in that moment, you're going to share a secret smile with the friend you've been working with, and that smile is going to hold a lot of meaning. It's going to share all the sacrifice and time you spent in that week, that shared understanding, and it's going to share the satisfaction that you spending time with them has created an impact that is now going to give on and on and on. Once you've had that feeling, you will never go back. You will ask to work again without pay. Thank you.